Watch this video and I promise you will become successful. It'll just be a matter of time. And I've compiled a few different traits that I've seen in hyper successful people of their age group, whether they were guys that made multi-six figures a month or they made multi-six figures a year. Success leaves clues. And the first trait that I'm going to talk about that is very evident in every single successful person's life is a common trait that I call sense of urgency. Now, a lot of people get this wrong. And a lot of people think that you have to do everything right now. And a lot of people think that everything has to be done in a second, and they mix up the sense of urgency. The sense of urgency that I'm talking about is the belief, and it's a negative belief, and it's a negative thought pattern that you're constantly behind. I've heard a few people talk about this. I've even watched podcasts where guys have talked about the fact that they always feel like they're behind, or very high successful entrepreneurs, women and men in both alike, have spoken about this, and they still feel like whenever they do something or whenever they accomplish something, it's never good enough. They're always behind. They always have to do this one other thing. And they constantly feel like they're chasing the carrot that's dangling in front of their head. And so this is a core and common belief that I also feel is very evident in my life as well. Because after every single YouTube video that I post, I still feel like I'm somewhat behind. I still feel like someone else posted a better YouTube video. But then again, you have to remind yourself that if you just understand that you're taking the daily steps every single day, you'll lay it off brick by brick. So I'm not telling you to adapt into this negative thought pattern. I'm not telling you to take on that energy. What I'm telling you is that a common trait within hyper successful people is a sense of urgency. And next thing that I want to talk about is how evident it is to lay the groundwork foundation. If you want to become successful by any means, you have to be able to put not only in the hours, the time into the craft. So what do I mean by this? A very quick example that I have to give you. Posted an Instagram story a few days ago and somebody slid up and just said like, put me on. And like, obviously you have those people like slide in your DMs, slide in my DMs every single day. Like, put me on, how do I do this? How do I start a business? How do I do this? And I always tell them a very, very similar thing that I tell everybody else before them. And I tell them, ask them where they're at right now, kind of what experience they have. Most of the time they have zero experience. And I simply tell them the reason how I got to the position where I'm at right now is by laying the groundwork foundation. And if you're not able to do that for yourself, if you're not disciplined enough to read the books, if you're not disciplined enough to journal, if you're not disciplined enough to experiment with different business models, pour a lot of your money down the drain and be able to seriously just dump money down the drain indirectly, you are not meant for this path. And you are not meant to even get to the place where you want to be because you can't even prove to yourself that you're able to put in the time. Just think about it. If you're not able to read a book, a single book, let alone 52 books, if you're not able to read one single book, sit down and commit yourself to reading a few chapters a day, how do you even expect yourself to manage employees, manage different sales calls, manage different bookings with meetings, employees, like integrations, systems, a community, a Instagram page, let alone just reading a book? Like, if you can't seriously tell yourself that you're going to sit down and read every single day and not commit to it, how do you expect to run a six-figure business? How do you expect to manage employees? How do you expect to build systems? How do you expect to work on your business for hours on end every single day and not get tired, or get tired and still continue to do it because you know those are the things that are necessary? So understanding that you are going to have to be able to put in the work, but eventually it'll get to a point where it doesn't feel like work anymore. I would say the first few months of me really starting my business, of really starting Growth Flow Labs, of really building out networkfounders.com, getting the calls booked, getting the rhythm down, it was really hard because it's like learning a new craft that you're not familiar with, but you want to become familiar with it very quickly. Same thing in the first few months of me reading books. I read about one book a month, right? Really slow, really steady. Then I read about 3 books a month. Then I read about 5 books a month. Then I kind of got burnt out a little bit. I took a month off, took another month off. Next month I read like 7 books. Next month I read like 12 books. Next month I read like 10 books. So like over and over and over again, you'll go through fluctuations and periods of your entrepreneurial journey, of your journey to success, whatever that even means for you, whether it's running a business or not. You will go through time patterns where things feel natural and things don't feel natural. And things that do feel natural then sometimes don't really feel natural. So I experienced this firsthand. You just kind of get to know things on a better level, and you sort of get to understand about what is really happening in your life, then craft who you really want to become. So put in the work every single day and understand that if you seriously can't sit down, I'm going to say it again, and read a chapter out of a book every single day, you are not qualified nor disciplined enough to manage employees, run a business, keep aside cash flow, and handle money. Like, you're not even mature enough to do that. So start up with the basics. I always tell the same people the same thing every single day when they ask me how to do this, how do I get started? There's no cheat code. All you have to do is fail. Fail faster, fail sooner, fail harder, fail more. The quicker you fail, the closer you become to success. So if you seriously just master and understand that sometimes you're going to feel like you're constantly behind, at least I did. I constantly feel like I'm behind. That's a trait that I analyzed in hyper successful people. The constant state of urgency that you have to get something done, and the lack of complacency within people's lives is something that I've seen that's very apparent, that pretty much takes over. It's not really a positive thing. I would more attribute that to a negative trait, but at the same time, I do think that is very important to keep in mind urgency when you are running a business, because the market is like a wave and it will go in front of you. And if you don't catch on to different trends, then also if you just stick with the same old thing and you just start beating the dead horse, it'll never work. So understanding how to fit into the middle ground, I think, is a really smart factor and a really smart move to play when you are doing those things. And so there's no secret to being successful. And I'm sure everybody doesn't want to tell you that. You don't want to hear it. You'll hate to hear it, because Iman will want to tell you it's his course. All these other guys will want to tell you it's this other business model. Every single business model works. You have to figure out what aligns with your passion, what aligns with your values, what aligns with what you're really good at, and what aligns with the skills that you already have, and what comes really naturally to you. And you just have to figure that out yourself. So for me, I'm still figuring it out. Speaking comes very natural to me. I like being in front of the camera. I like making content. I like doing that stuff, as well as managing other people. I like building out systems, kind of, not really sometimes. Just kind of depends. I'm definitely a visionary. I love seeing the vision in the business. I love seeing how everything come together. That's my main strength. So I understand that. I laid the groundwork foundation. I read the books. I took the time. I didn't take any shortcuts. I bought multiple courses. Most of them were trash. Bought a lot of online education. Bought a lot of coaching. Bought a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have bought. But you know what? It's led me to the position where I'm at right now. Promise you, you can be in this position, or even better, if you just follow the simple fact of doing the work every single day, reading a chapter, outreaching to prospects, doing exactly what you have to do in your business and in your personal life. And if you seriously just stick to it over and over again, you will be in a much better place. And with that being said, it's exactly where I'm going to leave it off. Y'all take care.